What if the number that separates constant financial anxiety from real psychological freedom isn't $1 million, not even 6 figures, but something far more reachable? Let me ask you something. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night, not because of noise, not because of a bad dream, but because your brain decided to simulate financial disasters? The car makes a weird sound earlier that day. Suddenly at 2:43 a.m., you're pricing transmissions in your head. Your company announces restructuring. Now you're calculating how long you could survive without income. Your pet coughs once. You're mentally preparing for a 4-digit vet bill. Your body is in bed. Your nervous system is in crisis mode. Here's the surprising part. There is a specific financial milestone that dramatically reduces those midnight spirals. And no, it's not $1 million. It's $10,000. Before you dismiss that as random or underwhelming, stay with me, because this number isn't powerful for the reason you think. I'm Nick. I spend an unreasonable amount of time studying money behavior, risk psychology, and the invisible habits that separate financially calm people from chronically stressed ones. If you've ever wondered what actually changes inside you, not just inside your bank account, when you hit different savings levels, make sure you subscribe. We go deep into the mechanics of money and mindset here. Now let's break this down properly. First, imagine life with zero savings. Every expense carries emotional tension. You don't just buy groceries, you perform calculations. You don't just get invited to dinner, you evaluate whether $25 will sabotage your weekly budget. You don't just see a check engine light, you see financial collapse. Living paycheck to paycheck doesn't just strain your wallet. It exhausts your brain. Psychologists call it scarcity bandwidth. When resources feel limited, your mind fixates on short-term survival. Long-term thinking shrinks. Creativity shrinks. Risk tolerance shrinks. You're constantly defending, rarely building. Now here's where $10,000 quietly changes everything. The transformation is not about lifestyle upgrades. Most people who hit 5 figures don't suddenly buy luxury items. They don't change neighborhoods. They don't upgrade their cars. The change is internal. The first shift, your relationship with risk. When you have nothing saved, every decision feels dangerous. Taking a new job? Risky. Moving cities? Terrifying. Asking for a raise? What if they react badly? When you have $10,000 in the bank, those same decisions feel manageable. You're not reckless. You're buffered. That buffer creates confidence. And confidence changes behavior. There's also measurable biology involved. Financial security has been linked to lower cortisol levels, the hormone responsible for stress response. Chronic financial insecurity keeps your nervous system in low-grade fight-or-flight mode. But once you build a cushion, your body literally relaxes. Think about something simple, car trouble. With no savings, that mechanic visit feels like a threat. With $10,000 saved, it's inconvenient, but survivable. That emotional downgrade from catastrophe to annoyance seems small. It isn't. It improves sleep quality. It improves patience. It improves work performance. It improves relationships. Money stress leaks into everything. Remove it, and mental energy is released. Now here's the part most people misunderstand about emergency funds. The value isn't in spending the money. It's in knowing it's there. Financial experts call this the emergency fund effect. But it's really about optionality. When you know you can absorb a hit, you stop operating from fear. And something fascinating happens. People with savings often end up using it not for disasters, but for opportunities. They invest in skills. They relocate for better jobs. They start side businesses. They negotiate harder. Because desperation is gone. Let's talk about negotiation for a second. If you need a job to survive next month, you negotiate differently. If you have 6 months of breathing room, you negotiate calmly. Calm negotiators earn more. Confidence compounds. Now maybe you're thinking, that's great, but $10,000 feels impossible. Here's the uncomfortable truth: the biggest barrier isn't math. It's identity. Most people approach saving like a crash diet. Extreme cuts. Short bursts. Burnout. Rebound spending. But consistent savers don't see themselves as temporarily sacrificing. They see themselves as someone who saves. That identity shift alters hundreds of micro-decisions. When you see yourself as a saver, you automatically question unnecessary expenses. You look for small income upgrades. You delay gratification more comfortably. You think long-term by default. The first $1,000 feels brutal. The second feels slightly easier. By $5,000, the habit is installed. By $10,000, you've become someone different. There's also hard math supporting why this number is powerful. Most common financial derailments fall under $10,000. Car repairs, typically $500 to $3,000. Urgent medical expenses, often under $5,000. Short-term unemployment gaps. Family emergencies. Once you reach this threshold, you're insulated from the majority of events that trap people in debt cycles. It doesn't make you wealthy. It makes you resilient. And resilience is underrated. Let's address something counterintuitive. The person earning $60,000 with $10,000 saved is often financially stronger than someone earning $120,000 with zero savings. Why? Because wealth building is less about income and more about retention. You probably know high earners who are constantly broke. Lifestyle inflation eats everything. And you probably know modest earners who quietly accumulate stability. The difference is behavioral control. Reaching $10,000 forces you to develop discipline, patience, intentionality, distinction between wants and needs. Those skills are transferable to every future financial milestone. Now let's talk about something most finance articles ignore: decision fatigue. Every day you make dozens of tiny financial calculations. Can I afford this coffee? Should I downgrade my phone plan? Is this brand worth the extra $2? Each microdecision drains mental energy. When you have $10,000 saved, 80 to 90% of those calculations disappear. You're no longer choosing based on survival. You're choosing based on preference. That frees enormous cognitive bandwidth. And freed mental bandwidth increases performance in everything else. There's also a subtle shift in how you view money itself. Before savings, money feels scarce and finite. After building a cushion, money becomes strategic. You begin exploring investing, not because you're suddenly a financial expert, but because your brain finally has space beyond rent and groceries. When survival pressure drops, long-term thinking rises. Here's another psychological twist. When you have zero savings, every dollar feels fragile. Losing $50 hurts disproportionately. When you have $10,000 saved, individual dollars feel less threatening, which makes you more willing to invest in growth. You might attend that $75 networking event. You might buy that $300 certification course. You might take a calculated risk. And those small risks often generate outsized returns. Financial security doesn't make you careless. It makes you strategic. Now let's be realistic. $10,000 won't let you retire. It won't make you rich. It won't remove every financial worry. but it creates breathing room. And breathing room is the foundation of smart decision-making. Without breathing room, you react. With breathing room, you optimize. You compare insurance rates. You renegotiate bills. You plan ahead. You invest intentionally. Small optimizations compound. One more overlooked benefit: relationships. Financial stress is one of the top contributors to conflict. When bills dominate mental space, patience declines. Irritability increases. Remove the constant pressure, and emotional availability increases. You show up better. Now imagine the trajectory. You save your first $10,000. Then you aim for $20,000. Then you start investing. Then compounding begins. Momentum accelerates. Financial independence doesn't start at $1 million. It starts the moment survival stops dominating your mental landscape. And that often happens at 5 figures. If you're currently staring at a balance that feels discouraging, don't fixate on the total mountain. Focus on installing the identity. Consistency beats intensity. Small automatic transfers beat dramatic short-term cuts. The person you become while building your first $10,000 is more valuable than the number itself. Because that person keeps money, thinks long-term, stays calm under pressure, spots opportunity, and those traits compound faster than interest rates. If this perspective expanded how you think about money, even slightly, subscribe and stay connected. We don't chase hype here. We build psychological leverage that changes behavior permanently. Because sometimes the milestone that transforms your life isn't glamorous. It's foundational. And foundations aren't exciting until you realize they're holding up everything.